Okay, we got a lot to do. We're already over time, so let's go ahead and get started. Today, beautiful note cards once again, Marla. Today we are going to do something that you're going to find kind of freaky at first, but it'll get easier. So, let's get our notes out. Turn to page 10. You can also get out your flashcards. They might come in handy. And today we're going to do some graphing of what are called piecewise functions. So piecewise functions. And what piecewise means, you might guess, is, you want to put that phone away when I'm talking? There's no phones. Piecewise means that I am going to graph this thing in pieces. If you have an eraser, it will probably be a good idea to have that out too. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. All right, so the first one, I'm on page 10 of my notes. I'm ready for number 4A. And the equation itself just looks different. Do you see how the equation is written in 2 pieces? So when I graph it, okay, I'm in my notes, I'm on page 10, this is number 4, right where we left off yesterday, page 4, number 4A. Okay, so here's where it takes a little bit of self-discipline. Look at the problem and ignore everything. Well, first of all, see this part right here? Yeah. I want you to come over to your graph. And I want you to make kind of a squiggly line right there at x equals 3. I chose 3 because that's the number that I've got here. Now, I'm going to erase that line. That line is not part of the picture. I'm going to erase it. So do it nice and light, but do make it so that you can see where it is, because that's an important point. All right? Now, look at just this part of the problem. Is that one of your BFFs?
Yes. Absolute value.
That's absolute value. So what shape is that? Look at your note cards if you're not sure. That's a V. So we're going to go ahead and graph our absolute value V. I didn't do a very good job with that. I'm going to graph it as accurately as I can, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Still not very good. There we go. Would everybody agree that that's a picture of the absolute value?
Yes.
Now, notice that that absolute value V crosses my squiggly line right here. So I'm going to put an open circle right there where it crosses the squiggly line. I'm going to erase, so it's a nice open circle. That circle is open because if you look at the problem, see how it's a greater than? When I get down to this part, guess what? It's going to be a solid dot, right? But that's an open dot right on my squiggly line where the absolute value crosses it. Now, what does that symbol mean? Greater than. So notice that I have graphed part of my V on this side of my squiggly line and part of my V on this side of the squiggly line. The problem tells me that I only want the part of the V that's greater than 3. So I am going to erase this part of the V. I don't want this part. So you're taking your pencil eraser and you're erasing that. This is the part of the picture that I'm keeping. So the first piece of my problem is that little piece of the V. All right, any guesses what I might do next? Now I'm going to graph that piece. And what is that piece going to be? Right, what's that shape? That's a parabola. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my blue marker and I'm going to graph my parabola. Does it cross the squiggly line? Yep, they always will. So now I'm going to go over there where it crosses, and I'm going to color in that dot. Now, just like before, my parabola has two sides. It has a side on the right of the squiggly line and on the left of the squiggly line. Which one do I want to keep this time?
Left.
The left. So I'm going to erase the right side. I finished the problem, so I'm going to go ahead and erase my squiggly line. If you forget to erase your squiggly line, I won't mark it wrong. It just makes our graph look nicer if it's not there. So what did we do? We graphed a piece of a V and a piece of a parabola. Is this, excuse me, is this a function? Does it pass the vertical line test?
Yeah.
It does. This place right here always confuses us, but remember that that's open.
So it's not that.
So it's not included, so we're really only hitting right there, right? That's your first piecewise function. Good job. Good job. Well, they take a lot of space, so I have to erase that. Does anybody have a question about that? Okay, let's look at the next one now. Man, I didn't mess around. I went from, this is big time. Let's look at this B now and see what's happening with it. Tell me any thoughts that you have. Do you have any thoughts about how to get started? I'm going to get started with my squiggly line. But wait a second. What do you think this time? Aren't there two squiggly lines? Where are they?
2 and 0.
At 2 and
0.
0? So I'm going to put one at 0 and one at 2. All right. Everybody okay with that? Remember, your squiggly lines come from over here. These are the places the graph gets broken into pieces. All right, so here we go. What shape is that?
It's a identity, so round
That
line.
isn't that a line? But I put a +1 on the end of it, so that's gonna raise it up 1. So instead of being the identity, remember the identity is through the origin like that. It's gonna come up here and go through 1. So there it is. That is always going on. Okay? Is everybody all right with that? Now, be careful with this purple equation. This is the only squiggle I care about. Because this is the only squiggle that's associated with that. So that's 0. Does my purple line hit the 0 squiggle? Right there. Will that be an open dot or a closed dot?
Open.
Open. So I'm going to erase everything that's in there so it's nice and open. And now I have to decide if I'm going to shade to the left of the squiggle or the right of the squiggle. And how do I make my decision? I look at that sign. What does that tell me? Left. So I keep left and I erase right. So first I put my squiggles in. Then I graph whatever my top equation is. That was my whole purple line. Then I see where it crosses its squiggle. And then I keep the part that this arrow tells me. I keep the left, pointing left, and get rid of all the right. Okay, what about the second part? What does y equals 3 look like? That is not a BFF, that's something weird. Jacob?
Up 3 over 1.
What?
Up 3 over 1.
Well, the problem is, there's no x. So it's actually like 0x plus 3.
Horizontal.
It's a horizontal line. Remember, if you only have one letter in your equation, it's either a horizontal line or a vertical line. So y equals 3. Looks like this. Right? Now, its squiggle is 2, so its squiggle is right here. Remember, each of the equations, each piece is associated with a squiggle. This one's with 2. So I put my open circle there, and it actually will be open, right? So now I have to decide, what am I keeping, what am I getting rid of? This tells you to keep the right. So we're going to erase the left side. Okay. Now, what? What's that? That's a parabola, right? A parabola. So we're going to start at the origin. And here's my parabola. Now, what do you think that means?
In between.
Okay, it means I'm gonna have to, I have a dot on the 0 squiggle,
And on the 2.
and I'm gonna have a dot on the 2 squiggle. So here's the dot on the 0 squiggle. It'll be filled in, right, filled in. Here's a dot on the 2 squiggle, filled in. Well, there's a lot going on. Now I have to figure out what to erase. This tells me what to keep. Doesn't this say to keep the part in between 0 and 2? So I'm gonna get rid of all of this over here. And all of this up here. And I know that is a very strange looking picture. I'm gonna go ahead and erase my squiggles, but remember, you don't absolutely have to. I just don't, because it looks better. There is your picture. Crazy.
How do you determine like where your parabola is? Cause like if you did like a wider one and it happened,
Yep,
like
yep.
how, where's like,
That's a great
Is there, like, a
question, Scout,
specific-
right. So Scout's question was, Mrs. Ford, let me put my, I need an axis back in here, so. So Scout's question is, maybe you drew your parabola like this. So your solid dot was down here somewhere? Okay, now, I'm not gonna get super picky about that, but you, to do it, if I plotted points, and I put in 0, I get 0, if I put in 1, I get 1. What do I get if I put in 2? Into here? 4. So the point over 2 up 4 needs to be on my graph. Remember, this was y equals 3. So 4 is above 3. And I did that by plotting the points. Okay. Alright. Okay, that is a big, big, big problem. Okay. This is the lunch period, so I'm keeping an eye on it. Whew, let's try another one. And would you, for this next problem, would you put in your squiggly line? Would you see if you can get your squiggly line in the right place? Okay, this one is easier than the one we just did,
Right, yeah.
for sure. How many squiggly lines does this one have?
1.
And where is it? That's 0, so 0, 0 is right here, right? So there's my squiggly line. Everybody with me so far? Alright, so now I'm gonna graph this. What shape is that? That's your linear, your identity, but it's been dropped down 2, right? So it's down here, 2. And then up 1 over 1, or you can just sketch in your identity, drop down 2. It's like we talked about yesterday. We just take our normal identity and drop it down 2 units. Now, where it crosses the squiggle, there'll be a dot, so make a big dot there. Will that big dot be colored in? Nope, so I'm gonna make sure I can see that it's a nice big open dot. And then I'm going to erase part of my picture, right? So this tells you what to keep. The problem tells you what to keep. Look at the way the arrow's pointing. You're keeping that side. So I'm going to erase this side. You okay with that?
Yep.
All right. Now this is another kind of funky one here. Anybody know what this is? It's the equation y equals 3x. Isn't that another line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the difference is the slope is 3 over 1.
Yeah.
So the y-intercept is still 0, so I'm going to start here at 0. But now I'm going to count up 3 and over 1. Up 3 and over 1. So I'm going to get a line, kind of missed a looks like, this is supposed to be a line, I am so bad. That is not even close to a line. Pretend that's a line, okay, that's supposed to be a straight line. Up 3/1. Now, does it cross the squiggly?
Yep.
Right here. So it'll be a nice big dot there. What about that dot?
Filled in.
Filled in. Right? This tells me what I keep. As soon as you put your dot on there, guys, you know you're gonna have to erase half your picture. You're gonna erase the right side or left side of that dot. So what do I keep this time?
Left side.
I keep left, so all this terrible picture I get to erase. I'll get my squiggly out of there. And there it is. These all have very strange shapes. All right, could you just go back? So just tip your paper over, and we have the back side of the practice sheet we did yesterday. So it's the back of 9A. We're gonna do a couple quick ones, and then we're gonna go to lunch. This does have some piecewise on it, so we're gonna practice these again. Make sure we've got this down. All right, everybody on the extra practice 1.3 paper? And the first one says, there are some piecewise later on, there's a couple of these first. What shape is this gonna be? Review from yesterday. It is, Eli's saying the arc line, not like that, it's the square root function. But what have we done to it?
Left two.
Left 2, love it. So we're gonna label this point -2, and there it is. This word, how did you know what left 2? Rules, we have rules. Put the rules on the board yesterday, learn the rules. All right, one more. Oh no, this one's kind of hard. 2 things going on in this one. Y equals the square root of x minus 5 plus 1. Now, will this be the same shape as the one we just did?
Yes.
Yep. But,
Up on the right.
what's happened?
Go to the right.
You go to the
Right.
right.
5
Up 1.
up 1. So right 5 up 1 puts me at the point 5 comma 1. You need to label that point, and then you just have that little archy thing, just like before. All right, let me check. Make sure they didn't change lunch times on us. They did change lunch times on us. Guess what?
We have more time to do
We have
that.
more time to do more math. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So, everybody okay with that one? Kind of rushed through it. 2 things changing in that problem. Everybody see that? All right. C. A different shape. What shape now?
Parabola.
Parabola. The normal parabola is at the origin. Where is this one? Down to. Kids, can you do that?
Yeah. Of course.
Of course. All right, D. What shape is D?
Linear.
Hey, is it the same parabola?
It's a parabola. D is also a parabola. How do we know D is a parabola? Because it's squared, right?
Oh, wait, wait.
We're on 1D. Isn't it a squared?
Yes.
That's a parabola. Anytime you have a squared, it's gonna be a parabola. So how has this one been moved?
Left 2 or 3.
What does this do? two,
Right to.
Oh, wait,
right
that's right.
two, and up three. So 2, 3, parabola. So much information, but we have to know it. All right, we'll do one more piecewise and then we'll go to lunch. All right, so here we go. So, Grant, all of a sudden we have this problem. So what's the first thing you're gonna do?
I'm gonna do the squiggly line.
And where are you gonna put it?
1.
At 1. So right here, I'm gonna put my squiggly line. Everybody okay with that? The purpose of the squiggly line is to help you put the dots in, right? That's how we know where the dots go. All right, so we gotta have our squiggly line. All right, Jackson, now what? What do you think I should do now, Jackson?
A parabola.
Yep, so now we're gonna graph y equals x squared, and it's just gonna be a nice little parabola. It hasn't been moved, right? So it's still at the origin, just a plain old x squared. It crosses our squiggly line as we knew it would. Open dot or closed dot?
Close.
Closed, so I'm gonna fill in that dot, nice big dot, make those dots nice and big. And then Eddie, what do we have to do now?
Keep the left side.
I gotta erase part of it, right? So Eddie says this arrow is pointing that way, so that's what I keep. Wherever it's pointing, I keep, which means this right side is going to get erased. So this is what we have so far. Okay. What's that? What shape is that?
It's gonna be a line.
That's your line, that's your identity, isn't it, right there? But what have we done to it?
Up 3.
Up 3. So it's the same line, but it's up 3.
Gonna do an open circle
It crosses the squiggly right there.
and then erase to the left.
Open dot on the squiggly. And I keep that part. So I'm going to erase this part. And there, my friends, is your piecewise function. Isn't that easy? I mean, it's kind of freaky, but it's pretty easy once you practice a few. Eli, paying attention? No, you're not.
I broke my pencil.
I'm sorry. Life is hard. But there, I do have spares down here. All right, let's go to lunch. I need you back at 12:30. We're back at 12:30 in our seats. Anybody signing up for Math League, we can do that now. Back in your seats at 12:30.
Here's my other note. Wait, is this yours?